How do you know if what you're going through is a Kundalini awakening or just an awakening? The question itself, let's deconstruct the question. That's where I always like to start. So this came through from an email that I received. Okay, so first thing to understand is that the word Kundalini is it's a Sanskrit word, and the first time it's used is in a tantric text around, I think, maybe 700 Common Era, what used to be called AD. And so it comes from a particular context, right? It comes from the tantric teachings which arose in Southeast Asia, though they arose and began to get written down around the 5th century. They peaked at around the 11th, 12th century, and then there were Persian invasions, Muslim invasions, and a lot of it went underground. So context is really important to understand. So when we're talking about Kundalini Awakening, we are in essence taking a word out of context in some ways, out of a particular culture, out of a particular spiritual tradition, that of Tantra, and applying it to phenomena that's arising here and now. And so this is why, on one level, awakening is awakening. And the way that we perceive and describe and talk about and respond to awakening will depend upon the culture that we are within and the viewpoint that we have on it, right? People awoke within the Christian lineages, right? So that's why the question itself in some ways is nonsensical, and it comes from the mind. And the function of the mind is discrimination, as in it needs to discriminate. It needs to go this or that, right? The mind wants to separate and see things differently, so it can perceive the grass as different from the flower, as different from the bush, as different from the tree. Now, if you are perceiving energy, those separations start to become less distinct as such. So when the mind is going, am I having a Kundalini awakening? Is it a regular? It's like, it's irrelevant, right? We're talking semantics here. We're talking context. We're talking language. The important thing to ask is, how do I respond to the phenomena that's now arising within my system? How do I respond? What is being asked of me here? What is being called forth? And so even then, the way that you respond, if you take your awakening symptoms and experiences and present yourself to ER at the local hospital, then the response that you might get would be potentially a mental health diagnosis and medication. Maybe you'll get locked up, right? Because they are perceiving what's in front of them through these particular lenses and filters. If you were to take these awakening symptoms, etc., and show up, I'm just making this up, I don't know, this could be completely my own inherent bias, and show up in an indigenous village in 15th century pre-colonization times, then possibly you would get a completely different response, where you would have wraparound support and they'd understand what was going on, and they'd pair you with a local medicine man or medicine woman so that you could be apprenticed into your role as a medicine person in the tribe. I don't know, maybe I'm making that up, right? But for illustrative purposes, it reveals the way in which filter of reality and context determines how we respond to something. So for you who are here watching this video right now, potentially because you're having some kind of awakening phenomena that's occurring, okay, let me just feel into this. What is it that you need? What do you require? Yeah, first thing is clarity over your own desire. What do you want? Right? Are you here because you're on the spiritual path? Are you here because you want to liberate from conditioning? Are you here because you want to awaken and know that which you truly are? Are you here because you just want to make it all stop? You just want it all to go away? You just want to go back to normal? Like, what is this? I didn't ask this. I didn't order this from Amazon. I'm sending it back. Clarify your intention, right? And then when you've got that clarity of intention, that will help to guide you. So if you suspect that you're having some kind of awakening experience, what's your desire? What's your desire? What's your desire? And if you feel that you would like some support, you can always check out the community I'm involved in, Shelter, which is exactly as it sounds. It's a place to take shelter. and it's freely offered in service to the goddess, and you can access a podcast and their reflections on the path, and you can access weekly classes and community check-ins and all kinds of other things, right? So my name's Kara-Leah. What's the difference between a Kundalini awakening and an ordinary awakening? Context and view. That's about it, really. Context and view. There isn't actually, beyond context and view, there isn't actually any difference per se. That's my summary. All right. Sending blessings, sending blessings, sending blessings. Okay. So this part 2. Hi. I just rewatched myself, and what came up as I was watching it, I was, there are different forms of awakening as such. There is, and then I'm like, oh my God, do I want to go into that kind of detail? Is that relevant? But there is awakening to oneself as awareness, consciousness, all that is. There is awakening to oneself as energy, immersion in the energy field. There is awakening to the void, the divine potentiality of all that is not yet, and there is the seamless integration of all 3 aspects of those, and they are all slightly different, and yet there are commonalities, and the awareness, energy, void. So there is more to it. There are more nuances. I'm just going to throw this little piece on the end because I'm like, it's not the full story. But in terms of the teaching that's being given in that first part 1, it's boom, down the line, what many of you, but not all of you, need to hear. That's it.